Right. Robert Spencer's third book on Prophet Muhammad, titled Muhammad, A Critical Biography. Now I'm reading through this book, and here we have the introduction chapter titled I have to go to my Kindle here, titled Who is this man? ? Is there even anyone here at all? ? Yes, he's here. He's here. Muhammad is here. Prophet Muhammad is here. I'm gonna need to read a little bit from this chapter in order to address what I need to address and what we need to address and what Prophet Muhammad needs to address. So I hope that you, Robert Spencer, wouldn't mind. I hope you wouldn't mind, Robert. We hope, because Prophet Muhammad is here too. We hope you wouldn't mind, Robert. Let's read from page 3 of the introduction chapter. Right, where is that? There. Page 3 of the introduction chapter. You're saying, this is now my third book about Muhammad and my second biography of him. Yet, while there is overlap among the three books, their scope and perspective are vastly. Now we are on to page 4. Their scope and perspective are vastly different from one another. The first, The Truth About Muhammad, that was the book that came out in 2006. That was what, your first book on Muhammad that came out in 2006? I'm guessing because I haven't read all of your books on Muhammad yet. So I'm just reading this book from this year, 2024, that came out this year in 2024. So anyway, the first book, The Truth About Muhammad, 2006, was a summary of what the earliest Islamic sources say and what Muslims believe about the Prophet of Islam. It was designed to give the non-Muslim reader a basic familiarity with the basic facts about Muhammad's life as Muslims understand those facts, and to clarify the question of why so many violent jihadis look to Muhammad as their guiding light and inspiration, even as so many others see him as a gentle man, sensitive, faithful, free from rancor and hatred, as Renan put it. In The Truth About Muhammad, I was not asserting that the Islamic accounts of Muhammad were historically accurate, but only that they were believed by the great majority of Muslims. Then, in Did Muhammad Exist? In 2012, revised and expanded edition in 2021, I examined the historical value of those early Islamic narratives about Muhammad and highlighted the historical problems that prevent many people from taking them at face value. The present volume is a combination and extension of both approaches and a kind of sequel to both books, although it is not necessary to have read either before reading this one. It presents the life of Muhammad from Islamic sources, as did The Truth About Muhammad. Although in this book, I am examining this material with different questions in mind and including a great deal of material that I had to leave out of that volume for reasons of space. It also extends the investigations begun in Did Muhammad Exist by evaluating the material about Muhammad from the standpoint of historical reliability in search of the answer to the question of whether we can know anything at all with any degree of certainty about Muhammad, and if so, what exactly we can know. Also, as was the case with the critical Quran, the word critical in the title of this book has two distinct meanings. This book, like my edition of the Quran, is one small attempt to make up for the general failure of the academic world in the West to conduct any kind of critical examination of Islam's origins, or of the life of Muhammad, as it has done exhaustively with the origins of Judaism and Christianity and the lives of Moses and Jesus. Western academics have no fear of denying that either Moses or Jesus or both even existed at all, or of asserting that if they did, they didn't do anything like what they are depicted as doing in the Hebrew and Christian scriptures. Radically revisionist reconstructions of the origins of Judaism and Christianity have become widely popular in the West, whether for fear of incurring a death fatwa and a life-threatening attack like Salman Rushdie, or the opprobrium of their peers for being Islamophobic. However, Western academics have been far less eager to examine the historicity of Muhammad or the reliability of the Islamic accounts of Islam's origins. This book stands, therefore, as one of the first, if not the first, critical biography of Muhammad. Like the critical Quran, it is intended to make up for a gap in the study of Islam that compromised and group thinking academics have not dared to close. This book is also unapologetically critical in the other sense of the term. I am not a Muslim and believe that now we are on page 5. And I am not a Muslim and believe that a great deal of what Muhammad is depicted as saying and doing is wrong by any moral standard other than the one created by his own words and deeds. In this book, I'll also examine how some of the words and deeds attributed to Muhammad, well, that's the key phrase, attributed to Muhammad. You are on point there. In this book, I'll also examine how some of the words and deeds attributed to Muhammad have had devastating effects on the world, precisely because of the reverence in which Muslims hold him. Muhammad is indeed one of the most consequential figures in history, and his teachings have not brought the peace, tolerance, and kindness to the world that one might have expected from the words of Ramadan, Emmerich, Watt, and others. That will also be part of our investigations here. Well, first of all, as you said yourself, as you're saying yourself, that the words and deeds attributed to Muhammad, which means that they are just attributed to Muhammad by who? By others? By who? Who were those others? And why were they attributing all these words and deeds to Muhammad? What was their intentions? That will also be part of our investigations here. Well, do you want to make us a part of your investigations? Because here we are. Prophet Muhammad is here, is back here as a walk-in, and I am the reincarnation of Prophet Muhammad's wife Aisha for Muslims, because we are the same souls as Krishna and Radha for Hindus, and we are the same souls as Matthew from the Bible, Prophet Matthew from the Bible, and Joan of Arc for Jews and Christians. Please keep that in mind. We are the same souls. Prophet Muhammad for Muslims, Krishna for Hindus, and Prophet Matthew from the Bible for Jews and Christians. And Prophet Muhammad's wife Aisha for Muslims, Radha for Hindus, and Joan of Arc for mainly Christians, but I guess Jews would know about her too. She's a historical figure and she's been canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church as well. So we are the same souls. Prophet Muhammad for Muslims is the same soul as Krishna for Hindus, is the same soul as Matthew from the Bible for Jews and Christians. Aisha for Muslims is the same soul as Radha for Hindus, is the same soul as Joan of Arc for Christians, and Jews know about her too. So, we are the same souls reincarnating in these different lifetimes, in these different backgrounds, in these different races, in these different cultures, in these different religions. So, and I know that this is too much for regular people to grasp, but the truth is the truth. You're going to have to grasp the truth at some point, or whoever can grasp the truth. And the ones who cannot, then well, they cannot. There's nothing we can do about that. And speaking of truth, and your first book on Muhammad titled The Truth About Muhammad? Well, what is the truth about Muhammad? Who can give you the truth about Muhammad other than Muhammad himself? And so Muhammad is back as a walk-in at this point, and Aisha is back, because I am the reincarnation of Aisha for Muslims. So, who could give you the truth about Muhammad better than Muhammad himself? Who could give you the truth about Muhammad other than us? That is, if you really want to know the truth about Muhammad from Muhammad, coming directly from Muhammad. And if you're ready for it, if you're ready for the truth, and if people are ready for the truth, when it comes to Prophet Muhammad, but also when it comes to Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Muhammad's wife Aisha. Is anyone ready to know the truth about Prophet Muhammad and Aisha? Are people ready to know the truth about Prophet Muhammad and Aisha? Are Muslims ready to know the truth about Prophet Muhammad and Aisha, coming directly from Prophet Muhammad and Aisha? Who could tell you the truth about us better than us. Only we can tell you the truth about us. We know what they did to Salman Rushdie. Was that in 2022? I think it was in 2022. I even mentioned it in one of my previous videos here. And what they did to Salman Rushdie was wrong. What these brainwashed Muslims did to Salman Rushdie was wrong. That's not what Prophet Muhammad would have done. And that's the thing. That's not what Prophet Muhammad would have done to Salman Rushdie. So then why are these Muslims doing all these things, all these wrongdoings in the name of Prophet Muhammad? Because they don't even know their own prophet. They're just brainwashed and programmed with false religious programming, and they're just doing all the wrong things in their prophet's name, in the name of Muhammad. That's all they're doing. They don't really know their prophet. They don't really know Muhammad. And what Muhammad would have done in these kind of situations, because their little brains with no brain cells moving don't even go there. They just get falsely religiously programmed, and they just act like religiously programmed robots, unable to think for themselves. That's what they do. That's not what their prophet would have done. That's not what Prophet Muhammad would have done. That's what these people are doing in his name. But that's not what their prophet would have done. That's not what Prophet Muhammad would have done. And these brainwashed Muslims have the audacity to do all these heinous acts in the name of Muhammad and in the name of Allah. They have the audacity. And they think they're going to get 72 virgins. They think, because they've been programmed with false religious programming, they've been brainwashed, and they've been programmed with false religious programming to think and believe that, oh, if they do these heinous acts, that they're going to go to heaven. And not only that they're going to go to heaven, they're going to get 72 virgins on top of it too. Really. Failing to realize that if they do these heinous acts, they're going straight to hell, not heaven. And no 72 virgins on top of it either. They're going straight to hell, is where they're going. Nobody in any religion goes to heaven for murder or even attempted murder of an innocent person. No one goes to heaven for that. And what is this about getting 72 virgins? Some lustful man came up with that, influenced by the devil. That's got nothing to do with Allah. That's got nothing to do with Prophet Muhammad either. These people don't think for themselves. They just have no, it's like they have no capacity to think for themselves. It's like they have no brain cells to rub together to be able to think for themselves. Oh, right. Now I'm remembering that Quran verse again. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they fail to understand. This is what these people are. This is how these kind of brainwashed and programmed with false religious programming, this is how these kind of Muslims are. They are deaf, dumb, and blind, as the Quran says in chapter 2, verse 171. And I'm just going back to the introduction chapter and page, I think it's page 4. Yeah, page 4 here again, where you say, the truth about Muhammad, 2006 book, was a summary of what the earliest Islamic sources say. The earliest Islamic sources. And then you go on to say, in the truth about Muhammad, I was not asserting that the Islamic accounts of Muhammad were historically accurate, but only that they were believed by the great majority of Muslims. That's the point, Robert. That's the point, isn't it? You're saying it yourself. You know. Earliest Islamic sources. Well, we're gonna have to look into them. Me and Muhammad, we're gonna have to look into them. Who are these earliest Islamic sources? Where did they come from? Who did they come from? Who were these people? What were their intentions? What did they write and why? About Muhammad and even Aisha. And as you're saying, I was not asserting that the Islamic accounts of Muhammad were historically accurate. Yeah, exactly. How do we know that they are historically accurate? How do we know that these Islamic accounts of Muhammad are historically accurate? Or if some of it may be accurate, but how much of it that may not be accurate? Like, how much of it is there that may not be accurate at all? Because who were these sources? Who were these earliest Islamic sources? Who were these people who were writing all these Islamic accounts on Prophet Muhammad? And why? And what were their intentions? And what does it all say? And how much of it is valid and how much of it is all just fabrications and made up lies? We're going to have to look into all that ourselves. And we're going to have to tell the truth to the world about all of it. About how much of it is valid and how much of it is just made up, is just fabrications, and is just lies. Only we can do that. Because we are Muhammad and Aisha. So only we can do that. Only we can, what's that expression? Only we can separate the wheat from the chaff. Only we can separate the truth from lies and fabrications created in Muhammad's name. The fabrications and the lies created in Muhammad's name and or attributed to Muhammad. Only we can bring out the truth about all of these fabrications and all of these lies, even in history. Because how much of the history is even true or accurate, as you say, Robert. You're questioning the right things. You're asking the right questions here, Robert. We're agreeing with you there, at least with that part of the book. And here on page 3, the earliest Islamic sources purport to show us Islam being born in the full light of history, yet that light was not, in fact, switched on until well over a century after Muhammad lived. There was a tremendous proliferation of material about his life in the 9th century, but that was fully 2 centuries after the traditionally accepted date of his death. So then what does that tell you? How was the religion of Islam born? Did Prophet Muhammad create the religion of Islam? Or was it created in his name after his death? That's another question, isn't it, Robert? Since we are all questioning things here about Prophet Muhammad, about Aisha, about the religion of Islam, and if you haven't said it like that in your book, then we are saying it for you. Because that's another question. Did Prophet Muhammad create the religion of Islam? Or was the religion of Islam created in Prophet Muhammad's name after his death by someone else? Is another question we are raising here. That Prophet Muhammad and Aisha are raising here. That's another big question that needs to be raised. And Muslims are not gonna like this at all. Muslims are not gonna be happy with this at all. Because as I've said earlier in one of my previous videos, foundations will crumble if the truth came out. Now on to chapter 1, titled The Prophet Armed with the Sword, the Creation of Muhammad. The myth of Muhammad may have been born in the Bible. Now, I'm gonna leave this for the next video. So, we're gonna leave it there for this one. Take care. We'll talk to you later. Over and out.